Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. And we're talking with Mary. Mary has a question. What is the difference? What is the difference between guardianship and conservatorship? And she's a little bit concerned because she's got a beneficiary, it sounds like, of her trust. She's got a trust, it sounds like. And she's concerned about the beneficiary getting the stuff in the trust after she passes. And do we need a guardianship or a conservatorship for that individual? So crank it back. Guardianship is when you have somebody who has no plan, has no healthcare power of attorney or anything like that, and they have stuff. They have a body, right? We still have a body, and somebody's got to decide what to do with that body, with that physical, expression of your divine nature, right? What do we do with your body? And the guardian is the one who decides what do we do with that. Now, but many people don't have very much besides their body. Okay, they've got their Social Security coming in, perhaps. They've got some basic bills. Maybe they're living in senior housing. Maybe they got an apartment. Maybe they have a house, right? But we don't have to do anything with the house. They're just going to keep on living there. But somebody needs to pay the routine bills. Now, the guardian, while it is supposed to be, and it is, for the body to make sure that you're okay, you're getting the medical care and what have you that you need, the guardian also gets to deal with sort of the routine financial stuff. Now, it gets a little complicated because everything gets complicated. That's life, no surprises. It gets a little complicated because you can have the probate court and set up by the probate court. You have to go to probate court and says, hey, my friend Mary is, not making good choices here. And so has the dementia or has whatever it is, because you can get a guardian even if someone can be competent, actually, mentally, they can respond. But if they make consistently inappropriate choices that endanger themselves, then you can still get a guardian over that person. But that's something that happens in the probate court, okay? And the probate court says, okay, Johnny, you are Mary's guardian. And then Johnny will decide, son, daughter, whoever it may be, brother, sister, whatever, decides where Mary's going to live and can pay their usual bills. Now, I mentioned Social Security because an awful lot of folks, guess what, still get Social Security. But Social Security Administration, the government, doesn't care, and this is true also of the Veterans Administration, they don't care that you have a court-appointed guardian. The bank cares, the real estate people care, right? But the government, the federal government, doesn't care. If the person that you are guardian for, so if the person that you're guardian for, if the disabled person is receiving Social Security, there's a whole other system you have to go through to be there, what Social Security calls representative payee. This is just for the routine Social Security money. And with the veterans, it's called a fiduciary. They call it the fiduciary program. But again, you say, well, wait a second. All we've got is routine bills to pay. Mary's living in a senior housing. I'm just going to pay the bills, utilities, food, whatever. And as guardian, I don't need to do more than that. Why do I have to do this other stuff? Well, you have to do this other stuff because the federal government works in 50 states and I forget how many territories and whatever, all with their own ways of handling these things. And they just don't want to deal with all these different ways of doing it. So the federal government says, look, if you're not able to deal with the money we're sending you through Social Security, if you want somebody else to do it, somebody else is going to do it, even on routine matters, then they have to be your representative payee. They have to go through the Social Security deal. And same way with VA, except VA doesn't call it representative payee. They call it fiduciary. So you have a very basic case with somebody who's getting veterans money, who's getting Social Security and who's just living, no big assets or whatever. And now you got to go to 3 different places. Yes, you have to go to the probate court to get guardianship. You have to go to the VA to get the fiduciary, and then you have to go to Social Security to get representative payee. That's the deal on that. Conservator is when you've got stuff, all right? And maybe you're fine taking care of your stuff, right? And you're competent, and there's no problem with that. But you are wasting your stuff. You fell in with those people, the Nigerian princes or the Jamaican whatever, or the French who, the scamsters, right? The people who are promising you millions of dollars if only you'll send them a few $100,000. Isn't that great? And you're blowing your money that way, even though you meet all the tests for competency, you're just getting scammed. Then the court, your loved ones can go to court and say, hey, Mary is blowing all her money on this stuff. We need to rescue her. And the court can say, right, she's mentally competent, but she's being really bad about spending all her money. Or she's not mentally competent. Easy case. But if she's competent, we can still conservatorship, right? Conserve her assets for her benefit. Okay, it's the same idea. And lots of times we get the conservatorship when when they say, oh, it's time to sell the house, and now I got to go to probate court because I can't sell the house on a guardianship. Now I need to manage the assets, sell the house. And sometimes you can do it with something that's called a protective order, which is much better than a guardianship because it's much limited. It's just a single action, but that doesn't usually work when you're selling the house because you got other stuff to do afterwards. And then you go and you get the conservatorship. Okay. So when someone has no planning whatever, let's bring it back. No planning whatever, nothing in place, and they are, not competent or not capable of managing their stuff, and we need to get health care or living arrangement for them, then it's guardianship. If they have significant stuff, bank accounts and financial assets and blah, 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 IRAs and what have you, then we have to get the conservatorship. Okay. So that's basically it. Am I tracking so far there, Mary? Does that make sense?
So he has no belongings except his clothes and some really old tools, but not worth anything. So, and he has no access to the house when I die, just to live within the property, unless he's so incompetent that he's doing destruction or something to the property, then, but I need, he has no way, he has not worked in 10 years, and he says he's not disabled.
Okay.
So he's not having any income.
Gotcha. So here's what you want to do. You have a trust, it sounded like, right? Do you have a trust?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
Did we do your trust by any chance?
Yes.
Okay. Good enough. So in your trust, the way we always do these, right? We set up a trust for the beneficiary. Okay. So that when you pass, the stuff that you're leaving to the kid doesn't go to the kid directly. It goes into a trust for the kid's benefit. All right. And then whoever it was you named as trustee, which probably isn't this kid, right? It's one of your other kids or somebody else, please God, right? Then they would manage the house. Yeah, okay. They would manage the house for his benefit. Now, it may be a good idea at that time after you've died. It may be a good idea to get a guardianship over him, okay? But because of the way and this is just how we do it routinely. I mean, nobody else does it like this routine. Every once in a while you'll see it. But It's set up to protect the assets that you're leaving for him, okay? So you don't have to worry about a conservatorship to deal with that, but perhaps a guardianship to take care of his body, okay? If you want to hang on, we can wrap this up, but the Beatles are playing. That means I need to get out of this segment. So I'll see you on the other side of the news if you decide to hang around. Okay, Miriam?